Without good knots, it's very difficult to get any fish in the boat. Here's a couple of tried and tested knots that we can tie in any conditions. In soft baiting, we use two very specific types of line. The first is a braided main line that gives us zero stretch and fantastic sensitivity, and the next is a fluorocarbon leader that gives us good abrasion resistance when fishing over foul ground. The first knot I'm going to show you is the uni knot, and we use this to connect our jig head to our leader line. To start off with, we want to pass our fluorocarbon through the eye of the jig head and then clamp down with the hand that's holding the jig head to lock both strands of line together. Next, we take the tag end and form a loop which we pinch between our thumb and forefinger of the hand that's holding the jig head. By using this hand to hold everything together, we can keep the knot neat and tidy as we tie it. The next step is to pass the tag end through the loop that we created and around the bottom of the main leader line. We're going to repeat that exact same step 5 to 6 times to form the basis of the knot. Once we've done our 5 to 6 passes through the loop, we're going to pull gently on the tag end to tighten the knot only halfway. But at this stage, we're going to make sure that everything is sitting nice and evenly and that nothing's overlapping. Then comes one of the crucial parts of tying this knot, and that is lubricating it so that the line doesn't burn as we pull it all the way tight. It's pretty simple to do. We just use a bit of saliva, making sure to cover the entire weight of the jig head before using our fingers to pull the knot down towards our jig head. We're going to pull it all the way until it's just touching the eye. We're then going to tighten the knot by pulling on the main leader line gently and ensuring that our loops stack into a nice neat bunch. To finish off, we could pull really hard on the tag end that locks everything off before trimming it, leaving about 2 to 3 millimeters spare. So the next knot we're going to tie is the back-to-back uni knot, which we use to connect our main braided line to our fluorocarbon leader line. The beauty of using these two knots together is that the steps to tie them are actually much the same. So we start by laying each line side by side, but coming in from opposite directions. We then take our first tag end, in this case it's fluorocarbon, and we treat it the same way as we did in the standard uni knot. And we're going to roll it in our fingers to create our loop, which we're then going to clamp in our non-dominant hand, which for me is the left hand. We take our tag end again and we go through the loop. Now with the back-to-back uni knot and on the fluorocarbon side we're going to do less wraps, so we're only going to do 4 wraps. 3 and 4. Once again we're going to pull on the tag end, making sure to not pull the knot all the way tight in the first instance. And for now we'll leave the fluorocarbon at that. So the next step is to flip the entire knot over and do exactly the same to the other tag. In this case I'm tying with the braid, and what I'm going to do is the same, but I'm going to do 7 revolutions or 7 passes through the loop. Now it's time to make the 2 ends meet. And what might be the most important part of the knot is ensuring that the fluorocarbon is tied tight enough so that the braid doesn't slip underneath. Effectively what we have here is 2 sliding knots that will eventually butt up against each other and not be able to go anywhere. Now before we fully pull the knot tight, we're just going to yank really hard on the fluorocarbon side to make sure that that's locked down as tight as possible. You can do the same again on the braid, but most important with the fluorocarbon. The only way that this knot ever really fails is if our braid slides underneath our fluorocarbon as we're trying to get them to butt together. And so lastly we're just going to pull them together nice and tight like so. And it gives us a nice sort of tidy bunch of a knot that is pretty well fail safe. The final stage of this knot is to trim the tag ends, leaving a small amount to allow for slippage. And there you have it. There are hundreds of different knots that you could tie to achieve exactly the same thing, but the best knot is always the knot that you're the most comfortable tying in all conditions. For me, that's the back-to-back uni knot and the uni knot.